From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Take this job and shove it. I ain't working.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. Coming up on today's show, Gus Malzahn retires. Mike Norvell takes control of the offense once again. We're not going to spend the next hour trying to tell you that it's a good thing, but we're going to talk about it. Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. Follow them over on their Instagram page, CumminsLifestyle, to see all the awesome things you can do when you got Cummins portable power rolling with you. You already know they're going to help us out with the ultimate tailgate giveaway. Get your potential entry into the end of year drawing, or end of preseason drawing, rather, Corey. When we do our mailbag show later this week, things have been flipped upside down. Like, Cummins doesn't do this kind of stuff. They're reliable, everybody. But covering a football program of the caliber of Florida State, the tumult that's been going on for the last 2 years, Corey, you can never take things for granted. We do this show a little bit more early than usual because of the news that happened on Monday morning. But first off, before we get to that, Corey, how are you?
I'm great, Aslan. How crazy is it that I saw Jeff Cameron post on Instagram, and it was because he was at that the Lightning Bruins game.
Which good game by the Lightning.
So
turns
that's what's
out
crazy is he retweeted the Tampa account, the Lightning account that said Lightning win. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. They won because they had a game in the stadium. Like, I guess that counts as a win.
Yeah.
And then I went back and looked at I went to ESPN.com, and the Lightning won that game.
Yeah, in overtime.
That's crazy. It's the only hockey game I've kind of watched all season, and I turned it off when it was 5-1.
Yeah.
Well, we did the show. We recorded the show.
Yeah.
I didn't check back because what would be the point? And apparently the Lightning came back and won. So that was really fun for Tom and Jeff to be at, I guess. Yeah. And I apologize to the people listening to yesterday's show where I made fun of how bad the Lightning were playing. And then they ended up winning the game.
All right, so Gus Malzahn, offensive coordinator for Florida State, no longer one season at the helm, announces his retirement on Monday morning. I'm in a weird place right now, Corey, because in full transparency, full disclosure, we recorded an interview with Coach Lonnie Alameda, your softball head coach, everybody, which they opened their season on Thursday. Yeah. Go support the ladies softball program. So it's like you're always in a good mood when you talk to Lonnie. You always walk away from it feeling really good. And I didn't want to come here fire and brimstone, but I listened to like a large part of Jeff and Ira's kind of synopsis of what happened. And I don't know, man. I don't think this is like a disaster, but this is not good by any stretch of the imagination. But a lot of people in a lot of corners are like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Do you think it's a big deal that the offensive coordinator has decided to step down, 45 days before spring football probably starts?
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer because, it's not ideal. Is it a big deal when you lose the coordinator from a 5-7 team? I don't know. Is it? Probably not. Is it a big deal if you've organized your entire offense and your offensive personnel to fit his scheme, and then he leaves? Yeah, that's not ideal either. But again, is it an enormous loss? I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not a loss because I've been, kind of singing his virtues, praising what he did just to make the last year's offense respectable for a year now. And I think he is a good coordinator, and I think he knows what he's doing, and I think he made huge improvements to the offense from 2024. But then when you look at it, and this isn't silver lining, and this isn't going back or Monday morning quarterbacking it. Any kind of competency was going to be a huge improvement over what he took over. So yes, he was the adult in the room. He made that offense better. He made it pretty good, all things considered, with all the stats. They still didn't win on the road, whether he was the OC or not. Replacing him with another offensive coordinator, I don't think is a big deal. I think it's the timing of it. Like, what happened? Why now? Why now? That's bizarre. I think I wrote in my column that's up on the site. You kind of, if you wanted to go get a hot shot new offensive coordinator, it might have helped if Gus would have done this 2 months ago. when the coaching carousel was spinning. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so I don't like the timing of it is what's troublesome because it's like, man, are things so bad that he's like, I can't do this to myself? I can't do this for another year and put in all these long hours to coach this football team or this offense or this quarterback. It's not worth it. This $5 million I'm owed is not worth it. Well, that's not a great sign.
That's where the mind wanders to, right? But again, the timing of it, listen, last season I don't think worked out the way anybody intended it to, whether it's fans, whether it's Mike, whether it's Gus.
That offense was a good enough offense that it should have won 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, fair.
But it didn't. So you are what you are, and on the road, that offense was abysmal. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Still ended up looking worlds better than what Mike Norvell coordinated for you in 2024. But you would figure, okay, at the end of the season, we can part ways. You went and interviewed for another job, Gus Malzahn. So you kind of had one foot out the door, but then we took some heat because we kept talking about, well, it'd be really nice to know whether or not your offensive coordinator is going to return. And then everybody's like, well, why does he need to make an announcement that he's returning? Like, he's still here.
Yeah,
duh.
He clearly wasn't.
Yeah, man.
He didn't want to.
You had the opportunity, and I think Ira was like, who could they really have gone and got in terms of an offensive coordinator in early December, late November, that would have put you in a much better position? I don't know. It's worth a shot with a guy that probably didn't want to be here and clearly doesn't want to be here. And I don't know how much of it, again, Corey, it's hard to pinpoint. Did he ultimately take a day or two off, go home, look at some film or something, and think, yeah, man, this is not going to be that great of a team, and this is not going to be that great of a season, and then where do I go if I'm part, again, of another program? This would be 3 straight seasons of being part of a losing program. I was this close again to the Arkansas job. Maybe if I take a year off. Yeah. If I take a year off, I'm better off than being part of what might happen in Tallahassee this season. That's where the cynical, skeptical mind goes, but it's hard to not think that has to be some part of the equation, because why would he have been like, all right, I'm in, and then looked around and be like, all right, things look pretty good, man. I'm excited about this. And like, nah, I don't want to do this any longer. It just doesn't add up.
Yeah, it doesn't. And again, again, if he was going to retire or resign, I guess it's a retire. We'll see if it's a forever retirement.
Who gets their next job first, Gus or Jimbo? Anyways, continue. Just an aside.
Jimbo. I think Jimbo absolutely wants to coach. Gus, it would appear, is on the fence at best. Jimbo absolutely wants to coach again. There's a want there, so I think Jimbo will be the coach. It's just a matter of what he will accept. Yeah, man, but yes, you could look at it like, yeah, early December, who are you going to get? I don't know, man. You could go get somebody that with probably with better credentials than Tim Harris, is what I'm guessing.
With a quarterback, they might have been able to bring you. That might have been 100%. Better than Ashton Dane.
And I was thinking of the guy at Georgia Tech that went to Florida.
Buster Faulkner.
Maybe you make a run at him, and he brought his quarterback, but that's not a quarterback that's going to get you excited right now because he's barely played. But he maybe brings his quarterback in with him. You could have gotten somebody like that, but we don't know if he's any good either. What we do know, and it's recent memory, and it's recency bias, but we do know what Mike Norvell's last offense here looked like. And it was the worst one we've ever seen. Legitimately, literally, the worst one we've ever seen. And now he's running the offense again. Now, I think it's going to be more of a Gus offense because Tim Harris did get promoted to offensive coordinator. If we want to look at what it's going to look like, Tim Harris did call plays sometimes at UCF. He was the co-offensive coordinator in 21 and 22. And then he went to Miami for a year, came back in 2024, and he had the title of offensive coordinator. Now, we all know it's Gus's offense, and Gus is largely calling plays, but I do believe Tim Harris called some plays. He was given some play-calling responsibilities while he worked under Gus at UCF. The point being, Mike Norvell is going to be calling plays. I'm almost assured of that. Yes. I think Pete Nakos reported that. That he will be resuming play-calling duties. But he will have somebody that's more familiar with the offense. So if he has Tim Harris and Herb Hand, so it could be more of a seamless transition, maybe not with as many gadget plays, and maybe he'll know who his running backs are. Those could be, I don't know, positives to this. So it could be a little more seamless, but the offense wasn't good enough that you needed a seamless transition. Like if Gus would have told Michael Alford 3 months ago, I'm leaving, I don't want to be here anymore, I can't imagine the administration would have been like, well, let's just keep everybody else in place. Mike, you get to call plays again. Yeah. No, you would have gone and tried to have gotten a coordinator from around the country, an up-and-coming coordinator. You can find one. They're out there, who maybe brings in his own quarterback. Now you're stuck with two quarterbacks that, quite frankly, you don't know how good they are in an offense that isn't, with Gus Malzahn not being here. But I say stuck. Again, we'll see how it ends up. I will say this. I think the larger point, and what I wrote the most about, and I think it's something you and I should talk about, is because you've mentioned this forever, ever since Gus came. It's like, well, if Mike's not calling plays, what are you paying him for? And it's a fair point. And it clearly didn't work, man. That marriage was a weird marriage. I brought it up repeatedly, but I don't care. He completely changed the way Mike Norvell conducted his program. Practices weren't open, weird Sunday press conferences, very little divulging of information at all. That's not what Mike Norvell was about his first 5 years. He was the most transparent, accessible, maybe not transparent with injuries, but they were the most open and accessible program in the Power Four in the country. And there wasn't even a close second. Like, they were as open could be. Gus Malzahn comes, his mentor, and as far as I'm concerned, now Norvell came and said it was his decision. I don't believe that. Maybe I should. Malzahn is like, no, we're shutting practices down. Or when Malzahn came, let's put it another way, they decided to shut practices down, going against something that Norvell brought up in his press conference as one of the edicts of his program. Okay, well, so whose program was it? Mike Norvell, you watch him on sidelines during those games, the microphone was always flipped up towards the temple. He had the headset on, but the microphone was always flipped up towards the temple because there was nobody for him to talk to, because there was nothing for him to do in the course of calling a game or managing a game. It was Gus's baby, and he was to leave it alone. And he would pound his chest or point at his temples to say think, or yell at a kid for jumping off sides. But by and large, he did not have a role on game days. And I felt like that sapped him of something. So at the very least, he gets that back, right? He can go try to earn the money. It's his offense now. He's calling the plays.
I'm the king of not articulating things, but this whole mojo, he lost his mojo, get his mojo back. I'm gonna need big time elaboration on that from a lot of people. I understand what we're talking about. He was by and large neutered. This is his football team.
He was neutered. It wasn't like, clearly the mojo wasn't great because he was there in 2024.
Thank you.
But he was neutered. Like this, he grew up. This is what he does. He calls offense. He was lost, and now that he gets to call plays again, that does not mean that all of a sudden he's going to be one of the best coaches in America and win the Bear Bryant Award.
Could win the Bobby Dodd.
Is there a Bobby Dodd Award?
There's one of those too. Yes,
yeah, he won both of them, right?
Yeah.
This guy's an award-winning coach. Everyone,
huge upgrade for the Noles.
Yeah. So, but I do think it gives him a purpose. And more importantly, man, I think he is secretly thrilled with this development. Maybe not even secretly. He might be high-fiving people. It didn't work out. It wasn't a good marriage. It's a weird dynamic when your mentor, the guy that gave you your start, you're technically his boss, but then you seem to cede a lot of the control to him. So who's really running the program? Especially who's running the offense? And,
I know, but
now it's Norvell. Now it's Norvell's ship to steer. It's him.
Yeah.
He gets to go down with the ship. And if they're terrible this year and the offense isn't any good, well, by God, at least he went down. He's the reason. They brought in this guy that was supposed to help him stabilize and get his footing and be a salve. And it didn't work. Well, now you punt that away. You get to be the big swinging blank when you walk into the – and maybe he was anyway. I just don't think so. I think Gus ran that offense and felt like the head coach of the offense. Well, now that's Norvell again. And even if we don't have to see him beating his chest on the sidelines to tell him to play with heart because he's looking at a play sheet, that's fine. That's still a win.
It's just to connect all these dots. So things got so bad in 2024 that he is told, he is ordered to hand over his clipboard and his whistle, and this is who we're going to hire. Or, I don't know, you give us somebody, this has to change. He picks his mentor, his friend, who does him a solid by walking away from all these millions of dollars of UCF as a head coach to going to be a coordinator from a guy coming off a 2-10 season. And then your friend / mentor leaves you between signing day and spring football. And then you're happy? Like, this is a good development?
I think secretly he is fired up that he gets to be the offensive coordinator.
That's my. I get it. Like, you've got 58 reasons to stick around, but if they took all this away from you, if this was all brought down from forces above you, like, no, man, you're the head coach, but you're not doing this, and this. Why are you here? I mean, I know you're not going to walk away from all this money, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Why would you remain head coach here if all this has been dictated to you? I don't know. I don't believe that it was dictated to him, that he had to hire Gus, that he had to get everything.
Oh, I definitely don't think that. It was dictated that he had to make some big changes.
Yeah.
And he fired both coordinators after that Notre Dame game. I don't think when he fired both coordinators after that Notre Dame game in 24 that he immediately was like, Gus is my guy. I don't even know if he thought Gus would take a. I mean,
he was a dark horse. He was a dark horse on those first hot boards, right? Like,
I don't think he thought he went into that, and I don't think it was dictated you had to hire Gus. I think it was dictated you've got to go get a coordinator that you can believe in and trust. And Norvell went with a guy that gave him a start and who had put up a lot of good offenses over the preceding 15 to 18 years. So it was in a weird way, it was a safe hire. Because you knew Gus wouldn't fall on his face.
Correct.
But it was a safe hire that I just don't think it was a good dynamic for Mike Norvell as a head coach. It wasn't. He's personality aside, and I shouldn't put that aside. Gus's personality and Mike Norvell's personality are completely different. It's just not. It just didn't work, and it's fine to admit that it didn't work. It was going to be a hard transition anyway to go from completely running the offense and telling everyone what to do, really just having offensive coordinators in name only, to Gus Malzahn. Like, that guy's been he was a head coach in the SEC for 10 years and coached for a national championship.
Lost it.
He sure did lose it. Yeah, they're right at the end, you remember?
Choked.
It's like 13 seconds left, I think he lost that game. I don't know. There aren't many teams that have come that close to a national championship and not won it.
Huh?
So yeah, it probably stings still. But yeah, in hindsight, it wasn't. It was a stopgap move. It was a short-term move to try to right the ship. It didn't right the ship. Now, it kept it from sinking to the bottom of the ocean, I guess, but it didn't right the ship. But now Norvell is. I'm gonna stay with the ship analogy.
It's captain. I'm the captain now.
But he gets to go down with it, man. He gets to be
again.
the old dude in the Titanic, sitting in front of the steering wheel. By God, if this thing's going down, at least I'm in control. At least I went out in control. And instead of being dictated to by Gus how to run my program, or just more specifically how to run my offense. This is me now. I'm doing this. I have no idea what made this happen. Stephanie just asked me, "Do you think they got in a fight?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think so." We were hearing things that Gus wasn't long. That's why we kept saying what we were saying. But we asked Norvell about their future, and whenever that was, 2 months ago, and maybe they always knew this was the case, but they wanted to get the portal class signed. And maybe it's hard to sell to portal kids, a running back from Texas, or offensive lineman, or a quarterback that you're after, that, hey, you remember the guy that went 2-10 2 years ago, running the worst offense in Florida State history? Well, now he's back, baby. So you keep Gus around, give it a couple of weeks, and then announce the retirement? Maybe this was always the plan. But so it was always the play. If that's the case, and I think there's at least a possibility That's not a probability, but it's a possibility. It's just now Mike Norvell is back to calling plays, which it just seems like Florida State could do better than Mike Norvell and Tim Harris as your offensive brain trust.
I'm just saying, man, if you were that beaten down to where you had to give up full control of your offense, you're changing your philosophy in terms of wanting to be this open program and all. I mean, if you're beaten down that bad, I just don't know, like the mojo is gone. Like the mojo is not coming back. But we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. What I'm right about is that Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is the place to be every day of the week because there's daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only $8.99. There is a weekday happy hour as well from 4 to 7 p.m. Take advantage of that. Trivia going down on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Bingo. $1,000 up for grabs on Thursday night starting at 7 o'clock. Come check that out as well. Live music, I think this week because it's the lead up to the Super Bowl, right, Corey? I think there'll be some live music on Friday or Saturday.
I believe it's Saturday night. It might be Tom and the Cats. I should probably say that, just throwing out a name. But I believe they play Saturday night, and they always bring a good crowd. They play a lot of 70s, 80s, 90s music. Always a good crowd, always a good time. And then obviously Sunday's the Super Bowl. I think this weekend is also the Highland Games.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's also going to be a super shoot and first chance blind draw dart tournament going down this weekend. Or actually, it already happened.
I was talking. Yeah, that happened this past.
Sorry.
I was there. I saw it. But I was going to say that because it's called Corner Pocket, which you would think, it must be a pool hall or a pool bar. It's a dart bar. And Bill's not going to change the name at this point because the brand is it's iconic. But yeah, it is a dart bar that has a couple of pool tables. It's a sports bar, honestly. But there's dart people all over the place. And I'll tell you what about dart people real quick, Aslan.
Yeah.
They like to wear
tight shirts?
I don't even know how to say it. They look like
Colorful?
race car drivers with their shirts.
Okay.
They're really elaborate, and they have their names on them, and they look like race car drivers.
Nice.
With some of their uniforms. I call them uniforms. They look like uniform shirts. So, yeah, man, that dart life, it's not for me. I'm not good enough at it, but people love it. People love it.
Come find out why we love it. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website. So as most of us know, I've got a wedding coming up later this year. So I've got groomsmen, I've got a best man, I've got to get a gift for all of them, right? And I'm like, man, what am I going to get them that's cool? And I've got my rule of 3 things that we all know about: umbrellas, toothbrushes, and flashlights. You can't go wrong with either of those. But the real ones, they get Ridge wallets for their dudes. That's what I'm doing. I've had a Ridge wallet for, I think, well over a year now, man. It is legit. It is durable. It is going to last a lifetime. And if for some reason it does not, I can send it back to them and they're going to give me a new one because they have a lifetime guarantee, 99-day risk-free trial, free shipping on the order. And the reason that they do all this is because they believe in their products. Stuff looks sharp, extremely durable. Again, I don't have to worry about sitting on this old, clumpy wad of a wallet anymore. I've actually got a decent amount of cash. If you guys could hear that in my clip right now, because I'm going to New York City, as we all know, for the bachelor party. And, I mean, it fits in my front pocket. And listen, your boy wears some, slim fit jeans, so sometimes a little bit tricky. Piece of cake. In and out. In and out. Save 10% at Ridge with code WAKEUP. Upgrade the wallet today. Again, save 10% at ridge.com/wakeup. We're back. It is Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. Follow CumminsLifestyle on Instagram. On October 28th, 2024, Gus Malzahn announced he would be handing over play calling duties to Tim Harris Jr. at UCF. They won their first game out the gates 56-12.
Over who?
Arizona.
Okay.
And then they lost 35-31 to Arizona State, who ended up making it to the playoff that year.
31 points.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
31-21 loss to West Virginia.
Yeah.
And then a 28-14 loss to Utah.
I do think they, not to give Tim Harris any excuses, I do think they lost their quarterback, right? Or they had some quarterback issues at the end of that 2024 season, I thought.
Yeah, I don't know if he got hurt, but yeah, I think they gave up maybe on KJ Jefferson. I think he might have not been the answer to their...
I thought even the second-string kid that came in got banged up.
Could be, yeah, because Ja'Curry Brown who was at Miami. I think he might have been the guy that Jamie Robinson absolutely pulverized.
Yes, yeah.
Down in Miami Gardens back in 2022. Which, speaking of 22, Corey, let's go ahead and let's play the positive game. And I'm sorry, I was negative for 20 minutes, everybody. I apologize.
Well, you weren't that negative.
It's
not ideal. It's not normal. This isn't normal.
It's
to
not.
Just lose your
it is not.
In February, it's not. It's not normal at all.
I'm like, I don't think it's going to be that bad, actually. It's like, what?
Well, no, I don't know that it's going to be it's going to have a
huge
impact. It's just another glaring example to me of who's in charge here. Right. What is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on? This isn't normal. And we can pretend, well, not even pretend. We can give excuses why it would happen or say, well, it might end up being a net positive, and it might be. All that's true. Like, it's not like Malzahn bathed himself in glory. But that doesn't mean this is normal for a proud Florida State football program, to go through these 2 seasons, have to kind of sell its soul a little bit to go get Gus effing Malzahn for a year, and then he bounces in February, 5 weeks before spring practice starts. And I don't say sell his soul like they went and got Art Briles.
Yeah.
But like they got a guy that isn't a Florida State guy, he's straight up mercenary, here just for the paycheck, essentially here for the paycheck and to be able to call plays again. And you went against who you were as a head coach and what you've been as a program to just keep him happy, to get him here. And then you go 5-7 anyway, and then he bounces. You did all that, man. It's a proud program. And the losing sucks, but then also the instability and not knowing from who's on the team, who's off the team, what coaches are staying and going. A guy just flat out retires. It looks like he'd rather not coach at all, which is his life's pursuit and passion, than coach at your football program. That's I don't even know. Troubling and alarming aren't the right words, but it's something. But anyway, again, we might be here a year from now talking about a 15-win season.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I appreciate you for stepping away, guys. But 2022.
All right.
Good time.
Yeah, let's get positive.
Good time. You had a extremely tall, wide catch radius wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
You also had this battering ram of a running back, which I don't think, Trey's 6'2", 220. Quintravion Wisner's 6'1", 194. So maybe not quite the battering ram.
I think Cromaw's the battering ram.
Okay. All right. Let's use, Cromaw then. Cromaw's our Trey Benson. This offensive line might be 2022 caliber. Right? You weren't exquisite. You weren't gifted. You weren't special on your offensive line, but you were able to run so many multiple formations. You could do so many things. 3rd and 8 was a screen pass, or, that would always end up breaking off for 26 yards. So if Mike is going to get his mojo back, I wonder if he looks around and sees things that he likes, that reminisce of years past glory, because 2024, I don't know, man. He thought he had the best offensive line he was ever going to have and a good running game. That was not the case at all. And
also, as I brought up on the last show, didn't feel the need to use Mekhi Dancy at all. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So the problem here, though, is that you had Jordan Travis as your quarterback, who was extremely cerebral. And, listen, Ashton Daniels went to Stanford, so he's cerebral as well. But, Jordan had been through so much by the time 2022 they come off that 3-game losing streak and then end up having 6 in a row to finish out the year, man. That he was just in a different place, it feels like. Lifelong Florida State fan. Life had beaten him down. He was thinking about quitting the game of football. Mike Norvell believes in him, breathes new life into him, so he's going to run through. You had a battering ram of a running back, and then you had a quarterback who'd run through a wall for the coach. I just don't know if there's enough parallels there to what they have right now, Corey, because I know that, Jeff and I were talking about, they're really, you can't say that they recruited to a certain scheme or system and then that no longer is the case. But I don't know, man. I don't think that 2022 team with Jordan, and especially 2023, which some people might say actually he was not as good of a play caller in 23 as he was in 2022. I don't see how that is not a problem, man. We talked about the benefit of having Gus was you didn't have to splurge on a quarterback in the transfer portal. You could go and get somebody, on the cheap. Man, I don't think Mike's mojo is going to get reignited with, a guy from Stephen F. Austin on the offensive line, a guy from Bowling Green on the offensive line, a guy whose TD to interception ratio is 1-to-1. I don't know how that all kind of consolidates into being like a net positive. That's where I'm at right now.
So I thought that was supposed to be positive, and then you went back and became negative.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. 2022 though. Maybe can he do it though, Corey? Like, do you think?
Look, I would say
a multiple effective offense because I don't think
he's done it before, right? Like 2024 was so bad. It was so bad. It erased the previous 10 years of Mike Norvell's life. Like, even in 2020, there were moments in games, a lot of them, when he had no talent and who was his coach? Jordan Travis, who had barely played college football at that moment and was learning with not a great receiving core. There were moments when you're like, man, this guy's pretty smart. Like, he's designed a really good game plan. Yeah. He doesn't have the personnel, but this is a good offense, or it has the chance to be a good offense. In 2021 too, 2021 as well, you saw a lot of moments like that where you're like, man, this guy knows what he's doing. He's good at his job. In obviously 22 and 23, he went 19.
Yeah, wait till he gets some talent, right?
Yeah, and he did. Whatever he did, 23 and 3, right? Yeah. In those 2 years, when he got better talent, when he got Johnny Wilson and he got Jordan Travis, became Jordan Travis, he got an offensive line that could play. We thought. And then obviously it backtracked in 2024, but he was good at Arizona State. He found different ways to move the ball and score points at Arizona State. And in Memphis, his last year there, he had a top 5 offense in the country that averaged almost 50 points a game, and they were always good and sometimes great. So he can do it. Like, he has proven he can put together an offense that can move the ball and score points and run. 2024 was such a disaster. What gives me a hope is that I think he's got a better offensive line just because I trust Herb Hand and Hines. And we'll see, because I was singing Alex Atkins' praises too until it fell off a cliff. But I think Herb Hand is better than Alex Atkins. I think his what he's trying to accomplish on the offensive line and his ability to evaluate and identify, hopefully develop too, but those two. Of course, tomorrow Herb Hand might announce his retirement. So who knows? But until then, I do trust Herb Hand to put together a solid offensive line. It's a small sample size at Florida State, but he's been doing it at big places. Remember, Alex Atkins, God love him, was at Charlotte before he came to Florida State. Herb Hand was in the Big 12. He was at Penn State. He was at Auburn. Texas, I think. Correct. Yeah, man, he's been all around. He's been at some big boy programs. He's proven he can do it at this level repeatedly. That gives me hope. Plus, the people you mentioned, I do think they have good running backs. I do think they have a good wide receiver core. And I do think Mike Norvell is pretty darn solid at calling football plays. I judge 2024 was so bad because of all the mistakes he made personnel-wise.
So as a 1 year removed from it, we're back on like, all right, we could. Well, it was unforgivable. It was almost unthinkable, Corey, that he would be allowed to call plays in 2025, which he wasn't. And then now it's like, all right, 1 year removed. All right, man, like let's run it back and see what happens.
See, to me, man, I don't think Norvell's issue was calling plays in 2024. And I don't think you do either. There were no plays to call because of the mistakes he had made on the roster and in the coaching staff. Well, that has been mitigated because Malzahn was here for the last year and a half. So I do think you have a roster in an offensive side of the ball with enough talent at the skill positions and 2 quarterbacks that don't move like glaciers that he will be able to put together an offense that can move. And he'll be able to call plays to suit that personnel. The problem in 2024 was not that he lost his ability to game plan or sequence plays, is he had nothing to call because his quarterback situation was absurd and they couldn't run. Well, they'll be able to run this year, I think. And that's going to open up everything. Now, again, it's not going to be a championship level team, but I don't think that 1 year, that's what I was trying to say, that the 2024 didn't mean that Mike Norvell he didn't just get lucky the previous 9 years. And 2024 is who he is. But 2016 to 2023, he just kind of got lucky. That was the one season. We hope it was an anomaly. It has to be. We're never going to see anything like that again, sports fans. So that's what gives me hope. Not that they're going to be great. Not that Mike Norvell is the best offensive coordinator in the country. But the personnel is much better than it was in 2024, in my opinion. He didn't have a Cromwell and a Wisner in the backfield. Daniels and Sperry, while not being great maybe, can move. They're athletic. And Deuce Robinson wasn't around. And Mekhi Danzey wasn't around. Like, there are pieces here that he, even if you think he is the biggest idiot on the planet, I think there's enough pieces on, and I don't think people do, and I don't think you do. There are pieces on this offense that he can't foul up because he doesn't know how to game plan. He knows how to game plan. And plus, he's making $10 million, Aslan. Give him something to do. Make him have to break down film.
Yeah.
Get to work. Go work for your money, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, listen, 2022, you had, Dimitri Emanuel from Charlotte on your offensive line. Justin Turntine was playing a lot. He, showed up.
Dylan Gibbons, right?
Yeah, Dylan Gibbons was part of that.
Who came from Notre Dame but never played at Notre Dame.
Yeah, so I mean, and then the combination of that with Alex Atkins versus what you have now in Herb Hand, maybe it is a little bit more comparable. But I just think ultimately this is going to have to be like a Gus Malzahn offense, but it's not Gus. I don't think Mike can go back and run Brady White offense from Memphis 2018, 2019. I don't think he can run Jordan Travis offense 2023. But then some people might be like, well, I don't want that offense. I'd rather have the 2022 offense where you're leaning heavily on a run game.
Yeah.
But, you still had those moments in games where Jordan had to make the right call, whether it was getting them in the right play, keeping the ball, finding the open receiver, knowing where he had to go, that I don't know if Ashton Daniels is going to be that advanced going into this season. But, I mean,
we don't know. And quarterback is obviously a very big deal. And, yes, I was under the opinion that with Gus, they saved money. Because number one, you're not going to get a big-time quarterback to come play for Gus because he doesn't put those guys in the league. But you can get an offense. You can have a serviceable to good offense even without an NFL quarterback. So you save some money there, and then he ends up leaving anyway. But look, Ashton Daniels can be good enough to lead this. Like I don't think 2025 Ashton Daniels is any worse or that much worse than 2021 Jordan Travis.
That was a 5-7 team, though. So I mean, ultimately, what I'm trying to get to
but
is,
it was 5-3 with Jordan Travis.
Fair.
And one of those games was like a loss at Clemson, who was very, very good that year.
And you were up, or you were there. You
were up. You had a chance.
Yeah.
You had a chance. That's my point. Is like if he can make plays with his legs.
My point was, I think you're somewhere between 9-3 2022 and 2-10 2024 with what they're set up with right now. I just think like you're going to fall somewhere in the middle of that, which is probably 5-7 again.
As we talk about, we'll see. As we talk about this though, like, I could be completely naive here. I think the offense will be fine. I think they have enough playmakers, and I think this is what he does. This is how he got the Florida State job. It's how we got his team at Memphis to the Cotton Bowl. It's how we went 10-3 in 2022, and Jordan Travis became a great player in 2023. Norvell, this is what he grew up doing. He is an offensive guy. He is a play caller. It's what he identifies as. He gets to do it again. And I maybe again I'm naive. I don't think Gus was great. I think Gus certainly identified better than Mike Norvell did and got them some players. Mm-hmm. And I do think that matters, and I think that helps moving forward to 2026. The defense is going to be the difference. Like my point being, I think the offense will be fine. The offense is going to put up yards and points. They're going to have some bad games because every offense does. But they're by and large, if they can stay healthy at the skill positions, I think they're going to be good enough that they're going to be in a lot of games. I think this guy is a good enough offensive mind, despite the debacle of 2024 when it was like you might as well have punted on second down. I think the offense will average somewhere in the neighborhood of 30. It's just kind of what Norvell's done every year he's ever coached, except for one. The defense is what worries me. And they got to save $5 million on Gus's buyout. Because Gus, if they would have fired him
Right.
after this past season, they would have owed him $5 million. He resigns or retires, I would think they'd owe him money. He'd owe them money, but they probably settled and said, never mind, you're all good. Well, man, it'd have been nice to have that extra $5. Go and get a couple D linemen. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been nice to have that money in your pocket to hand out. I know they come from different spots and all that, but yeah. Hey, they're doing nothing but saving money with these buyouts, Aslan. You whittled away Norvell's again. You didn't have to pay Gus. That's $18 million right there you saved by not having to pay Norvell $13 million this year if you'd have fired him, and you didn't have to pay Malzahn to go away. So, hey, maybe more renovations are in our future.
Corey, are you ready to make your big game picks over at Underdog?
You know what? I'm
Sports?
super ready. I am super ready for this.
That was incredible. Almost like we had coordinated, but we didn't. The big game's coming here. Underdog's got you covered.
Are you talking about the big game that's on Sunday at like 6:30?
I am.
Okay, cool. I just had to clarify.
For a silver-colored trophy. It's fantastic, everybody. All right, what do you think, Corey? Drake May, 222.5 passing yards. Sam Darnold, 231.5 passing yards. Or do you want touchdowns, rushing yards from the quarterbacks?
Ooh, let's do rushing yards for May. What are those?
37.5.
Yikes, that's a lot.
That is.
I think I would go higher than that.
High? Oh, okay.
Yeah, higher. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure.
Higher.
Over. Sorry.
No, you're right. No,
I was right.
You were right.
Come on,
I screwed it up.
Yeah. That was. I think because of the Seahawks, their pass rush, he's gonna be looking at the pass rush a lot, and he's gonna be running for his life a good bit probably, and I think he'll take off a lot.
And Jackson Smith and Jigba, 92.5 receiving yards.
That's a lot.
That is 6.5 receptions. 10.5 targets.
10.5 targets. Let's do the receptions. I want higher on that.
Higher on that. Okay. Let's see. How about Sam Darnold then? We got one from each team, so we'll go Darnold to finish this little 3 playoff. 6.5 rushing yards for Darnold. 20.5 completions, 30.5 attempts, 231.5 through the air.
I mean, 6.5 rushing
yards. Yeah.
That's one scramble.
It's a good defense, though. The Patriots.
It is,
right?
but it's also the. I almost said the word. It's also the big game. So he's got to, it's got to put his body on the line for this. I'm going to say higher on the rushing yards for Sam Darnold. Right. I'm going higher on all of it.
All right. All that together, that's about a 5-1 payout over at Underdog. Download the Underdog app today. Sign up with promo code WARCHANT to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code WARCHANT. Underdog, make picks, win money, play responsibly. Underdog Fantasy Sports must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and Napa Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway. We're back. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins. CumminsLifestyle. Follow it on Instagram. So again, Gus Malzahn retires. Seems like Tim Harris Jr. will be elevated as the chief offensive coordinator, but Mike Norvell is going to be the one calling the plays. We're going to speak to Ashton Daniels and several other players on Wednesday, Corey. So maybe we'll get some kind of insight into whether or not they were surprised on it and where they kind of go from here. But I would imagine winter workouts are starting up right now. So that's going to be kind of interesting too, because those assistant coaches are usually part of it. I would think even Gus saying that, listen, I don't want to be part of the recruiting thing. I just want to call plays and be a ball coach. I would have assumed he probably was part of tour of duty out there running a station or two, but
no way.
You don't think he was waking up that early?
No way. In like what? Making sure a kid ran around the hula hoop right? No chance Gus Malzahn was doing that. Which, again, speaks to kind of, I don't want to call it dysfunction, but a unique dynamic where, and I could be wrong, he might have been out there. He might have been running the thing with the bullhorn. But, I just, it's a unique thing when one of the assistant coaches is more accomplished than the head coach, and gave the head coach his job, and is a big name in the sport. That creates a unique dynamic where I think Mike Norvell probably showed too much deference to his old mentor. And, at some point you'd be like, why isn't Cromwell playing? What are we doing in this running? Because nobody had an answer. And I just don't think it's good for you talk about the mojo, the karma of the program. When you have a guy that he didn't speak long, but when he'd do his 7-minute press conferences on Sunday, and was asked to not defend Mike Norvell, but praise him, say why he thinks he believes in him, and that he's doing a good job or can get this thing turned around. And he's like, hey, man, I'm just an offensive coordinator. It's like, that's not good for anything. That energy isn't good. It's not good for a program. It's not good for a coaching staff. It was clear the day he got here, he was here to just call plays, which then go to the Ravens, man. College football is different. It should be anyway. You don't want your coaches to feel like just straight up mercenaries. I know they all are. We all are. And the players are too now. But it was such a unique set of circumstances to have someone like Gus Malzahn answering, quote unquote, to Mike Norvell. And it didn't work out. And when Norvell getting his mojo back, man, that implies that he had mojo before he hired Malzahn. It makes it, even if it's just to the players, it definitely will be to the fans, but to the players too, okay, yeah, that's the guy that's in charge. This is his offense again, therefore it is his program again. He's not just a delegator. Bobby Bowden earned the right to be a delegator and write notes on the sidelines. He had been an OC and a really good one for most of his life. Mike Norvell isn't that guy. He's still in his 40s, early 40s. And, yeah, he got stripped of is it too much to say it was emasculating?
I think so, yeah.
Probably. I can't think of the word, though. Neutered probably is a better word, but I don't like that word. I just don't like the way it sounds coming out of my mouth.
He was diminished. He was.
There you go. Yeah, not emasculated. That's way too strong. But, it's who he identified as, is a play caller, an offensive mind. He had been called an offensive genius most of the last decade. And then to then be you don't even get to call plays at all. And not only that, don't even ask me about it, Mike. Quit worrying about it, Mike. We're going for it. Or we're not going, or no, Singleton's our guy this week. All right, whatever you say, Coach. I don't know how the meetings went, but I assume Mike Norvell had some input. But he hired Gus Malzahn, and it was made perfectly clear when Gus Malzahn took the job, I'm sure, I'm doing it my way. I get final say over anything offensive related. In that, diminished Norvell's impact on the offense and therefore on his football team. And now at least it's his team again. It's his offense again. I know that's not something that people are excited about, but he is. And, I don't know that Mike Norvell and Gus Malzahn as play callers, what's the difference? What do you think the difference is in war and wins above replacement?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Does Mike go for it on 4th and 8 on his side of the field against Miami in the first half? Maybe not. Maybe he's the one that made that call. I'm
sure he makes a call like that.
Does he doesn't
call the play, though.
Does he call shovel pass?
Yeah,
goal line against Stanford?
Right.
Which wasn't a bad play call, but it wasn't executed poorly either, but they didn't score. I mean, I don't know the war on it. But again, I don't know if Mike can be who he wants to be with this roster. I really do think there is a difference between what Mike Norvell would have recruited and what Gus Malzahn brought on board. I don't think Ashton
Here's the benefit, though. I think this is a better roster than Mike Norvell would have had left to his own devices.
Probably, but can it run? Can it do all the things he wants to do? Can it run all these different motions and shifts and everybody know where they need to be and you don't have pre-snap
that's
penalties?
why he gets the $10 million a year, Aslan, to coach them up and try to figure it out. What I don't want to see ever again is you hit a 35-yard play down the middle of the field to get to the 23. You race up to the line to make it 2nd and 9. You're going to race up to the line. You're going to snap with 34 on the play clock. You're going to hand it off because you did it every time, and it's going to get a yard at best. Those were wastes of plays. They didn't work once, as far as I remember. I'm sure they worked a few times. But that speed them up. We got a first down. Let's go quick. Let's go quick. Let's tempo. It was a net negative all season long. Norvell's not going to do that at least. You're not going to do that at least. But, yeah, well, I mean, I do think his personnel – because of the identifying and evaluating, hopefully of Herb Hand too. You know, Herb Hand's here because of Gus Malzahn.
Correct.
So that helps. Tim Harris is here because of Gus Malzahn. I think we like the way the receivers played most of the time in 2025, and he did call plays, and he's familiar with this offense. So maybe we'll talk to Norvell. Maybe they keep, and I don't think they're all variations of the same offense. I don't know how drastic the differences are between what Norvell was doing in 22 and 23 and what Malzahn did this past year. I mean, I know there are, but the running plays and the counters and everything else, I don't know how much that changes. I just think 2024 was a confluence of horrific events with a quarterback that was not a good fit and couldn't run, and then he got hurt, and you were left with Cromenhawk and Brock Glenn to try to do anything, and you couldn't.
My final
and you didn't have a lot of talent.
Oh, sorry, Corey. My final thought on this, though, is, man, I feel like Arizona State was such a long time ago, and that conference was in a really different place in the, early part of the teens. And Memphis has always been kind of hovering around a top 25 offense ever since Justin Fuente got his feet underneath him there. Now, listen, they haven't been top 5 the way they were, I think, 2 or 3 years under Mike Norvell. I just don't know if he's ever been in this particular position, though, Corey, as the offensive coordinator play caller. He's never been calling plays for his life. He was either, fairly successful at Arizona State and Tempe and not having to deal with a lot of expectations. He was at Memphis, not having to deal with a lot of expectations and inheriting a good program, keeping it on good footing and then elevating it a little bit. At Florida State, there never was that. There was never a moment, I don't think, where he was going to those games, with everything riding on. The way the pressure that we saw on his face, the terror, the fear almost of what we saw on his face in Raleigh. I don't think he ever felt anything like that as the play caller. Now he's going to be that guy in practice every single week, like leading the team on the whole, but then back to being on the walkie-talkie and being 20 yards downfield and analyzing the play, coaching the guy up immediately after the rep and not having to be completely desperate for this kid to figure it out, because if you can't perform in the game, we're going to lose, and then this whole thing is done with. This is going to be a whole unique sort of situation, I think, for him, even as he tries to find his mojo and return to his roots. He's never had this much pressure on his shoulders as the chief play caller.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll be good for him. I don't know. Maybe he'll coach them harder, coach them better, coach them longer. I don't know. There are no rules anymore.
Do we want the
5-hour practice?
Do we want Mike Norvell to coach them harder, or do we want him to take it easier on them? I don't even know the answer to that.
I don't know. I want them to be better coached.
Yeah.
However you accomplish that, you need to figure out a way to accomplish that. But again, I just think it goes back to look, man. I will say this here in February of 2026. I don't expect this thing to get righted with him at the helm. I feel like there's a better chance this is his last season as the Florida State head football coach than he's here for 5 more years. But
agreed.
The only way he is going to be here for 5 more years is something like this. Because if they had a good season this next season and Malzahn, they go 9-3, he looks like a figurehead. He's just, man, they won. He doesn't get any credit for it. So no fans are back on his side because it's like, you only won because they went and paid Gus Malzahn and Tony White all that money. They're not winning because of you, Mike. So if he's ever going to win games again and win this fan base back again, this is the way he would have to do it. And if he doesn't do it, which likely he probably won't, just because of the way things have been trending, then he's out of a job anyway. But at least he's going down, not letting Gus Malzahn dictate his livelihood. It's on him. Win or lose, it is all on him now. Good, man. I think that the positive of that outweighs the negative of losing Gus Malzahn, even if you think Gus Malzahn is a better OC than Mike Norvell. I think the positive of Mike Norvell knowing this is his now, and he is the captain of the ship, 100%. It is all on him. I think that positive outweighs the negative. At the end of the day, you probably still hit the iceberg. But maybe not. Maybe he can steer you away from it.
If there's $50,000 up for grabs and you're just given a roster and you're playing Tulsa, do you want Mike Norvell or Gus Malzahn to call the plays to win that game? If you win the game, you get the $50,000. If you don't, you don't.
If you're playing Tulsa.
Yeah.
But Gus.
Okay.
Gus would, man. Gus crushes those kind of teams. He sets records against those.
Louisville,
but then it's
Louisville
like,
on Friday. Louisville on Friday. Go back to the well and go back to Mike Norvell 2022 Friday night. Louisville will take him rather than Gus on the road.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Okay.
He owns Louisville on Friday nights.
Yeah, okay.
He did that with Tate Rodemaker, man.
He did.
Come on now. He can win with Ashton Daniels. He won with Tate Rodemaker.
No Jared Verse either. I think Verse.
That's right. Jared Verse got hurt
in
in the first quarter of that game.
Rob Scott got knocked out late in the game.
Yeah.
Feels so far ago, that world, man. But
hey, better days. Better days are ahead. One way or the other, better days are ahead. And yeah, man, I'm not going to sit here and say that this is ideal. This is the way it's supposed to go. This is what college football programs all over the country are dealing with. Losing season, lose your offensive coordinator that was here for a year, that was your mentor, that came almost as a favor to his former protege, and then bounces in a year. None of that is ideal. All of it's kind of, frankly, a little bit embarrassing. Well, the losing definitely is. But even this is a little bit embarrassing. We'll see how embarrassed any of us are in September and October. We'll see. I do like that before Gus left, his parting gift was a competent Division I football offensive roster. We'll see if Mike can Mike and Tim. Hey, I don't know what Tim Harris's role will be. I know we think Mike's going to call plays. That's fine. I do think Tim Harris will be highly involved in the game planning each week. He has been a part of this offense for 4 years now. I do think Norvell will trust him to try to help game plan and scout the opposing defenses. I do think he is not just in name only. I do think that Tim Harris has a role here, but at the end of the day, it'll be Norvell talking into the headset on Saturdays and Fridays and Mondays.
Last thing, if Gus texted you and was like, "Hey, I just really want to be around my family, man. I just miss my wife. I miss my kids." It was real, though. I appreciate you, Corey. You're fun. Take care. Will that change at all the way you feel right now? Because I don't even know where I'm at. I believe his statement that said, like, listen, I want to thank my family. I want to spend more time with my family. But part of me also doesn't want to be completely oblivious to he's a competitor. You're at a good program. If you have a stock, even if you don't agree with the ethics, perhaps, of that company or that CEO, but you're like, man, this stock is definitely gonna be up 25% by the end of the year. I don't think you sell the stock, man. I think you hold on to it and just kind of plug your nose and be like, all right, yeah, man, the CEO's a jerk. I don't like what they're doing, but man, I'm going to get 25% return on my investment. I don't know if you're a competitor, if you go into the portal, you build this roster, you handpick all these guys, and you look around like, all right, man, this is good. This has got the makings of something good, and be like, I don't know, man. It was really cool hanging out with my
buddy, 100%. If he was at Miami right now getting to coach Mensah and those running backs and that Duke, he would not be like, my family's just too much fun to be around. Yeah. I got to bounce. No, but yes, I think that's absolutely a part of it. It is a lot of work, even for him, who wasn't doing as much as most assistant football coaches. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of question marks whether it's going to be worth it. Because he had more bad weekends than good weekends. And he clearly, I absolutely hear what you're saying, and that if he thought this team was going to be great, you stay on for the ride. So yes, I understand what you're saying, and I believe that. But just because he doesn't think the season's going to be, and I'm putting words into his mouth, he might legitimately just be like, I'm done with this. But again, this sapped him of all love of the sport. This last year sapped him of his love of college football or calling plays. That's not great either. But yeah, man, hey, we're all on our own journeys. We're all on our own journeys. We all figure out what we want to do. I will say this: the one caveat I have to all this, because I really don't think it's that big a loss because of what happened this past year. It was 5-7. I do think, and maybe it's Norvell, Gus Malzahn in a million years would never put together an offense like 2024. He just wouldn't. He would never have anything that looked even remotely similar to that. He could not. He wouldn't know. He can't fall on his face. His offense is at least always going to be to a certain standard production-wise. We don't know that about Norvell, and that's the unknown that you can get frightened by. Like, man, he could be this offense. He could figure out a way to make this offense bad again. You knew with Gus there was going to be a level of competence and production because of just who he was as a coach that you don't know for sure with Mike Norvell, right?
Absolutely.
That's the worry to me. That's the worry. Everything, but odds are it'll be very similar to what Gus would have done with the same product. But we don't know that for sure because Gus has never had a season like 2024. That's the last time we saw Mike Norvell call plays. It was something we never want to see again, that kind of production. So it fills you with a little dread that guy is back. But I do try to point to and remind people the guy did some things before 24. He figured out a way to get the ball in the end zone a few times. So let's hope that guy returns.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe Cromenhawk wants to come back.
Where did he ended up?
I don't know. He is it UAB? No.
That sounds
UAB,
right.
Maybe.
That sounds right. USF. There we go.
Oh, there you go. Right. But then
Same
they signed another
colors.
kid out of the portal.
Did they?
Yeah, they have another quarterback out of the portal, so he's not guaranteed that job either.
Yeah, I lied. Last other thing on my mind, Corey, is that
good. Let's do it.
I don't totally disagree with the fact that this is not like a terrible development. Like I'm not saying that this, oh man, like they were locked in for 8 wins. Now they're going to be down to 5 without having Gus. It's just, and it's the optics of it all. And this is supposed to be your friend, man, your mentor. And in February 2nd, like he bails on you. Like this again speaks to like, do you have the respect of the locker room? Like now it's almost like the coaches around you. And I get it, the Gus. There's no way that Gus looked at Mike as an equal, as a peer, right?
No chance.
So
I don't think he looks at anyone as his equal, honestly.
He doesn't.
But he certainly didn't look at the guy that he hired as a 21-year-old as his equal.
Yeah. So it's not like an embarrassing thing. It's just, it feels like, another indictment on like, does Mike inspire people? Does he command respect? Do people believe in him? That's the bigger concern for me because listen, I'm closer aligned to Jeff when it comes to Gus and not really respecting what he accomplishes offensively. I mean, I respect the numbers he puts up, but not the way he goes about doing it. I just don't think that that's a real legitimate offense. That's why it felt so good to beat Auburn in the national title game. It felt like we were the virtuous team, like we were a pro-style offense. Like that's what I respect, but that's just another. That's what this all boils down to for me. It's not so much this is going to affect, to your point, the war of what this team could possibly be, but it's just, man, what else can we endure under the watch of this guy that we have to continue to be like, well, let's not think it's completely a bad thing when it's like we just keep getting results that point the other direction.
Yeah, well, it's just the optics of it. You're right.
Yeah.
It again, we don't know how it's going to play out in the fall, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing or a neutral thing. But yeah, man, it's again not normal for an OC to leave right now, to just resign when he's not 80. And I think you and I both think Gus Malzahn is probably not done coaching.
Agreed.
He was done coaching at Florida State. Gross. What, you'd rather be at Arkansas, man? Do you know? You know what I mean? Like, Florida State is Florida State, and it's just another. It's not a kick to the groin. It's like a jab to the groin. it's not that big a deal that Gus resigned. It doesn't affect our lives. We're not in shock. There's no mourning because the great Gus Malzahn left after 1 year. It's just one little jab to the groin. Another one.
Another
after
indignity.
Another one.
Another indignity.
Yeah. It's just it's not indignity might be too strong. It's a bit of an indignity. But on top of all the other indignities, it keeps stacking up. In the only way any of us care about anything else, the only way he can right this thing and save face is to figure out a way to win effing games again. And to that end, let's hope this ends up being a net positive. Just maybe addition by subtraction to get Gus out of the program. Maybe. I don't know. I can't imagine his personality was great to be around, but that's just me, from a distance, assuming that. He might have been the only thing that held them together last year. He might have been the rope that kept the whole thing from breaking. Who knows? But I guess we'll all find out come late August. Well, not late August. Well, by September, we'll know.
Yeah. All right. Headlines?
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
I think we'll be doing headlines, yeah.
I saw Tom made the post a few days ago about the JCS returns on Tuesday, February 3rd, which is like, well, Tuesday's not for
day,
JCS.
Tom.
Tuesday's for headlines.
They do. They do have the 1 hour bonus hour,
bonus.
so that's right. But yeah, we should be doing headlines for sure.
All right, tune in for that. Warchant.com around the clock. This is your Tuesday program, by the way, even though I think we're probably releasing it middle of the day, Monday. But thanks for listening, everybody. Be on the lookout for the Renegade Express thread over on the Tribal Council. Post your questions. Best one gets featured in a video, which is cool, but even cooler, you get entered into a grand prize for a tailgate of 20 people, hotel room for the weekend, drinks, food, bartender. They're going to set it up, break it all down for you. Who's they? Cummins, everybody. Cummins. Cummins Lifestyle. Follow on Instagram. He's Corey Malzahn. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins.